Blizzard fixed the broken part of WoW. What's broken about it, and how did they fix it? That's what I want to know. It's been 2 days, which is now means I can watch it. And it's fine. That's my policy. I can't hear you, Bellular. Unmute the tab.
Stacked edition of the Warcraft. Welcome back, everyone. This is an absolutely stacked edition of the Warcraft news because lots of Blizzard infos came out.
News.
We've got cancelled Blizzard games, some dark histories being brought to light, just the story of things like how some of their games have collapsed. Also, we've got a glimpse into just how completely insane and often broken, as in literally invincible, the new player experience of
Oh my god. YouTube? It's a YouTube video! How did you even know about this? How did y'all get him in on this before you even knew I had it?
World of Warcraft has been, and on top of that we got updates with delves and
He
even more
knows.
class updates that have hit the PTR, and I'm going to knock those out first. So Circle of Life and Death has actually been
Invincible.
removed from balanced druids on the PTR, just, you know, shortly after they added it. So basically they decided that no, they're not going to go back to the multi-dotting playstyle because they say that it's too frustrating in AoE, right? That's why they're canning it, which does make
sucks.
sense. But the thing is, loads of other classes experience that problem, and in almost all those cases, Blizzard had a solution, but apparently not one that fits balance. I'm not really sure what they're doing.
They said that it sucks to put dots on every single enemy when you're attacking a pack. It does suck. I hate doing that shit. But apparently there's other specs that still do that, and they don't care about them.
With balance, honestly, it's really in a bit of a state. Now, there are other things. So, Sub-Rogues, Flagellation...
I have a feeling that they have different people working on different specs. Like, there's different people assigned to the different specs. And maybe that's why there's not a totally coherent philosophy that's applied to all specs.
is staying at 90 seconds, but Shadowblades is now coming down to match it also at 90 seconds, and we're really seeing across the game that just 90-second cooldowns
This is for Rogue.
are what we're all converging on.
Reduced. Well, people say Rogue needs love,
Over for
so...
Warriors then, there's a few single target Fury buffs
Good.
to offset some talent imbalance, but as far as I can tell, the Warrior mains are still fairly mad about the nerfs that they've been getting to their hero talents. On the other hand, mages are seeing a nice buff to Frostfire, and while Fire Mage itself is
I don't
taking
like
overall nerf,
Frostfire.
it is getting a pretty nice increase to its AoE damage, so...
I like Frostfire in terms of what it does, but I don't like Frostfire in terms of using fire. I don't like to use fire on my mage. I like the idea of being a frost mage because it's frost. It's pure frost. I don't want to do both. I only want frosts. But there's not a pure frost hero spec, really. There's Spell Slinger, just arcane. But, wow, I paused him at a... He looks like he's about to sneeze.
That at least will make things feel a bit better. Big picture then, I would expect at most 1 or 2 more waves of class changes, and that's because we're all expecting this patch in roughly 3 weeks. But you can use to save money, be more secure, and access more content. I use them to just that, and at nordvpn.com/Bellular Warcraft, you'll get 4 months free on a 2-year plan backed by their 30-day money-back guarantee. Now, put simply, what a VPN does is it lets you browse the web as if you're anywhere in the world. And this can be, well, so strong it feels like a hack. Here's the best example for me. Airline and car rental pricing is often dynamic based on where you are. And that means you can clear your cookies, fire up Nord, change your region, and you'll often find far more competitive prices. And with that, you can easily save way more than the cost of your subscription.
I didn't know
that.
that.
Can all sound pretty techy and complex, but no, their app and their browser extension make it super simple. And if you want to say throw it on your router for network-wide security,
Are you telling me I'm getting scammed on airline prices because I wasn't using a VPN to pay for that shit?
you can do that too. And of course, this is all great for unlocking region-locked content, which is kind of everywhere. Nord stops your ISP from snooping, for prioritizing certain types of traffic you use over other types of traffic, and you get access to their fantastic threat protection services, along with new features like MeshNet, and you can even bundle in some of their...
Do you know that when I went to PreachCon, I drove 8 freaking hours to go to Houston and fly out of there because there wasn't like all the plane tickets to Manchester from here were so expensive. It was literally cheaper for me to drive 8 hours to get on a plane.
Other amazing tools like NordPass to manage your passwords. And best of all, you get 4 months free with a 2-year plan at nordvpn.com/Bellular Warcraft. So big thanks to them for their years of support in the channel, and let's go. Okay, let's dig into all the things that have been unearthed about Blizzard.
Oh, a book.
This comes from the press preview tour for...
Hey, isn't it that guy? I know that guy. He makes all those articles about the gaming companies that's saying about how they're shit.
Jason Schreier's upcoming book, which is all about Blizzard's past, present, and future. Of course, expect a full breakdown from us, like soon or at some point after the book comes out, but for now, there certainly are key things for us to talk about. First up, the games that we could have had. So before unceremoniously departing Blizzard following the nightmare that was the Battle for Azeroth story, Alex Afrasiabi was apparently leading something codenamed Andromeda. Now this was to be a modern God of War style action game where Thrall essentially would have been our Kratos, and you know, it's a sad dad game. Makes complete sense for Thrall to sort of fill that Kratos role. As it stands, we know nothing else. Immediately it does sound like an amazing concept.
I don't know. From the guy that liked the Sylvanas arc. Some things, it's better that they never came to light.
Alex as the lead. We saw what his influence did to Battle for Azeroth story,
I don't
all that
know,
Sylvanas
dude.
nonsense and BS. He was creative director of World of Warcraft through that period of time. And, you know, then there's him being named in the DEFH case that...
This was a cool cinematic. Everybody was losing their shit when they saw Sylvanas say, "For the Horde," and that was so badass. And then 10 minutes later, she's like, "The Horde is nothing." What the hell? What are you gonna... we don't need to do this Sylvanas rant right now.
Off pretty much all the Blizzard drama and actually got Blizzard into a
And
position
looks so
where
good in this
Microsoft could
cinematic.
gobble them up at a cheaper price. Now, that's just one game concept, though. There are other things we know, like the original version of Diablo 4 that was essentially Diablo, but with the combat of the Arkham games and a third-person action game. There's the likes of the advertised but canned StarCraft Ghost, and we were quite well acquainted with the idea of a canned Warcraft Pokemon Go. But there were many more. Starablo was one, actually. It was done by Blizzard North.
A Warcraft Pokemon Go? What, so I could, like, run around my house and find little kobolds? That's so weird. What other... I guess battle pets you could find. Pokemon Go and World of Warcraft don't go together at all. Pokemon Go makes you go outside a lot. That's a bad idea.
Before
It's dead in the water.
At, Diablo 3. Funny enough, it was a sci-fi Diablo. There's also Bloodlines, a space vampire game, which I suppose as a Stargate Atlantis fan I can kind of like. There's a Battlefield-like...
Look, I'm sorry, but all these sound like shit. I'm starting to feel like, okay, maybe Blizzard actually knows what they're doing for canceling all this bad ideas.
Warcraft shooter that essentially died at the altar of Overwatch 2, needing more devs. On Warcraft, then, well, there's two things they did before World of Warcraft. One of them was a post-apocalyptic turn-based game called Nomad, and then there's Warcraft Adventures, Lord of the Clans, which eventually was adapted into book form by Christy Golden.
A book.
Pretty much establishes the core of Orcish lore.
That's
but
good.
The one that really fascinated me was Project Avalon. So this was a Minecraft-style Warcraft game that they were developing around the same time as Mists of Pandaria and Warlords of Draenor. In many ways, that seems kind of goofy, a bit weird, but think about Blizzard. Their whole thing was basically to blatantly copy something that other people were doing, but implement it better. You know, do
Yeah, that is
Apple
what
thing.
they do.
Don't invent the technology, but tie it together in a user experience that
Yeah.
can actually go the distance.
That's their winning formula. Take somebody else's idea and make it better and more accessible to the general public and polish it up a little bit, and there you go.
Only
Got a
lasted 2 years,
banger.
and to my knowledge, there are no leaked development screenshots. Then finally, for Warcraft, at one point, they wanted to do a Helldivers 1 style game. So that essentially would have been a top-down co-op action thing. Of course, that also died. Now, there is a little bit of good news. They're actually working on a StarCraft shooter again. Dan Hay, who is the relatively recent Blizzard vice president, previously of Far Cry fame, is taking the lead in that one. And
StarCraft
this is, of course,
shooter?
after the entire unannounced survival game completely collapsing.
I didn't know they were doing
Times
that.
of charm, I guess. We also learned some other sad things.
It could be like Doom Eternal. But I would want to be a Zerg. Like, but then I wouldn't have a gun. So, unless I could shoot like green spit out my mouth. Yeah, that might work.
As an example,
Okay.
why Warcraft 4 never materialized. The short answer is, there was no universe in which it would make enough money. Team 1, the real-time strategy game specialist at Blizzard, the people who actually quite literally built Blizzard into what it was. Team 2 only exists because Team 1 couldn't make StarCraft 2 and World of Warcraft at the same time. The way things went down is that Team 1, the RTS specialists who literally built Blizzard, right, like the original team, the people who made all the IP,
Right.
they went on to do StarCraft 2, and they were shown a hell of a lot less love after that project. The thing is, StarCraft 2 did well. It just did not do very, very, very well compared to, say, World of Warcraft, Hearthstone, and a bit later Overwatch, which were all printing money hand over fist. And that means that for Blizzard, RTS just was never worth the investment anymore. The team were actually so desperate to make any form of RTS that they even pitched Activision on a Call of Duty real-time strategy, but that was a non-starter. Then, of course, Reforged was the plan. It was going to be a bit more of a remaster initially. That gave way to, the slop that we ended up getting, and with Reforged failing, all hope for Warcraft 4 was well and truly gone, and some of that team skittered away to make Stormgate instead. There is, of course, a little bit of a
Let's
silver
see.
lining for StarCraft.
Why don't they just make WoW 2 then? This is what everybody's asking about. Instead of having all these non-starters that they spend a shitload of time and money on and then cancel, just make WoW 2. I would be fine with it so long as they could let me keep a lot of my shit that I collected in original World of Warcraft. Just making new versions of all these things.
Though, so the StarCraft RTSs are actually on Game Pass for PC.
Oh,
right
WoW
now,
Reborn.
So that's certainly a good thing, and that there is a
They're
StarCraft
not gonna do
shooter
that.
is kind of surprising to me. I honestly did not expect that. I just assumed they would treat it like a dead legacy franchise. The thing is, though, if they wanted to do another StarCraft RTS, well, it would have to be someone else at Microsoft, because right now, Blizzard sure as hell do not have the RTS developers left. Our next dive into the Blizzard situation
Oof.
is what happened all those years ago whenever we watched them crumble to dust after Cataclysm. Now, we already knew that they were working on Project Titan, and that Titan would eventually become Overwatch, but we didn't know just how bad that project was. Rob Pardo, vice president of game design at Blizzard, was stretched so thin that he essentially completely failed as producer and director of Project Titan. They spent $80 million over 7 years, and they made
What?
tons and tons of game, but never an actual game. As an example, Titan Town, which is what they called one
So what you're saying is that what eventually became Overwatch was just like the shreds left from this gigantic project, most of which was actually wasted time and money and resources?
part of it.
I had been under the impression that most of it had become Overwatch, but you're telling me that actually most of it was a wasted effort.
Had fishing, photography, gardening,
What?
and even hacking. Of course, on top of that, you also had superhero combat, you had dungeons, and the thing is that each individual bit was good, but they could not commit to an overall game loop, an overall vision. This is a project that was started to be Blizzard's own WoW killer, the next big thing. But with ambition like that, and I think insulated by the cash cow that was World of Warcraft, they instead faffed around for years, making apparently, per one artist, enough art for 5 games. And that's even to the point where people would do art for a character, but actually find that their whole art management system was so antiquated and weird that actually somebody had already done art for that character 2 years ago. It really does feel like the art
The game was meant to have the players take control of a character that by day would live out their lives in an Animal Crossing or Sims-like experience with doing fishing, photography, and having a job. Then at night, they would fight crime as a superhero. Okay, it sounds like they had a million different ideas for this game that nobody could agree on. So they tried to do it all. And in the end, didn't have any actually clear vision and no idea of who they were even making this game for. Just sounds like a management disaster, especially with him saying that there was art they were looking to have made that had already been made years prior to that. It's just classic, really, really shit management. I worked in game development a little bit, and I can tell you that usually the management is very poor, and most people don't find out about what they're doing until the last possible second. And then there's barely any time to get the feedback you need to make appropriate changes because the whole pipeline of communication is completely borked and bad because nobody knows how much time anything takes. Nobody communicates with anybody who needs to be communicated with. And it sounds like that on a pretty big scale for this project.
Archivists of the Imperium of Man
Committee
and the 40K
shit,
verse.
yeah.
Rough. The thing is, they did not have faith in a direction. They did not have a final vision for the product. They were too caught up in trying to be the World of Warcraft killer.
There's
and
nobody
fact
giving
that Overwatch
order.
Came out of it is an absolute miracle and a testament to the good work that had been done within that very, very troubled project. Of course, it's a project that took away top talent from other Blizzard games.
Yeah,
of course, games like World of Warcraft, and often in situations where they didn't exactly have enough focus and enough of a succession plan to, well, not have those other games suffer, which they were probably fine with, because Titan was supposed to be the next big thing. Titan actually failed so hard that Bobby Kotick massively increased his influence at Blizzard because basically it seemed the trust was broken. With that, you may think, great, I'm sure they learned a lesson there. No, they did not. The recently killed Project Odyssey suffered from many of the same problems. According to developers interviewed, this survival game that we all knew as the unannounced survival game was actually quite good.
Oh,
It just
yeah.
wasn't enough for Blizzard. When people in the team suggest
The
they
survival
release it
game.
in an early access state to basically take on the big survival games of the time, like Valheim, and to actually get players and build the game with them, the internal response was no. We're Blizzard. We make big, epic games that sell millions and millions of copies. It's that problem where there's an almost biblical level of pride in action there. The problem is, that's of course...
We don't want to just be another Valheim that maybe sells a few million and then it's just an early access forever. Then it's just another survival game. We want it to be the big Blizzard thing. Well, you know, it's a classic case of you need to have a journey before destination. Because you can't focus if you focus so much on the result, you will have a shit product. You can't, like, if you only focus on making money and that's all you care about, there's not enough love along the way to actually make something that anybody else is going to give a shit about. Because nobody else gives a shit about you making money. They give a shit about you creating something nice for them to enjoy. So you can't just focus entirely on the bottom dollar. You're like, no, it's not, you can't get there from there.
Completely unfeasible. If they had have shipped something, they at least would have had a game come out. That game could have caught on, and maybe by listening
I think
to
that they have kind of... I have seen evidence of this in World of Warcraft in the past several years. With Dragonflight and War Within, I started to get the sense that they find, at least the people working on WoW right now, understand this. I've started to see actual love and care reflected in the product. And this is something you cannot fake. It is something that is it's the secret sauce. It's the only thing that's going to lead to success. People can tell if you're disingenuous. People can tell if you're doing it just for the money, if you're just to make a buck. It's not going to succeed. It's not going to succeed. Obviously, you want your product to make money, and obviously you want it to do well, and you want everyone to play it, and you want it to be the next big thing. But that can't be your guiding star. You have to be like, this idea rocks. People are going to have so much fun. How do I know that? Because I had fun making it.
Players and understanding how their players played the game.
And I've seen that in
be
WoW
able to
recently.
find a vision for it and support a development team. But instead, Blizzard were so concerned
Spirit.
about ensuring their games were perfect instead of good, actually fun, and something that people could play, that they just ended up canning almost everything. Just kind of tragic. If you want the full deep dives, head over to our news channel. With that said, let's get back to some World of Warcraft stuff. This is a real goofy situation. I'm sure you've heard of Hardcore Classic. Well, the opposite of that exists. It's called Softcore Dragonflight, and it's real.
What? Softcore Dragonflight. I think I've seen that already. But not from Blizzard.
Know this. Did you know that for the last month, new players have been immortal while leveling? Yeah, I'm not joking.
Ayo. Sorry.
They've been immortal. Ian actually said to Windows Central himself that he knows this is a problem. It actually turns out that while we've been doing our delves and everything...
Oh yeah, didn't Zeiss say he had this problem? Hey Zeiss, weren't you doing softcore Dragonflight? I remember that you were saying you were trying to level in Dragonflight and you were immortal. You couldn't take damage. I'm not saying it. I'm not saying the word. Remember? Yeah, it was boring as hell. Uh-huh. Dragonflight patch 34. The bad dragon. I take it back. We don't need WoW 2. We need patch 34.
Worth in. New players have been having a blast, but not in a good way. Right now, World of Warcraft pushes new accounts through the Dragonflight leveling
You said if my HP went to 1, it just went to 100. It was really, really boring. Yeah, I bet.
experience. But that was a problem, because in their early testing with people, just new...
Is it like a buff or something that you can click off? It says... You can't die. Can you turn it off?
Newbies found it too hard. They didn't really understand what was going on, and for them, they'd be entering Dragonflight content with absolute newbie starting gear, not fresh off the back of, Shadowlands gear. Essentially, a lot of that flow was designed for veterans, for people who've played loads of World of Warcraft, and that meant it was too complex for brand new players in their testing. Of course, the problem was they were committed to Dragonflight being the baseline experience, so...
It was too complex for new players in their testing. But don't you have to go through Exile's Reach first to get there? So it teaches you what's up. It teaches you what's going on in the game. It's the prismatic blessing, and you cannot... What? How long does it stay on there?
To fix this, but, not completely rebalance and rebuild Dragonflight stuff, they decided to fix it with buffs, right? 2 of which basically made people permanently bloodlusted and completely immortal. Now, the immortality bit was actually a bug, but the whole bloodlust forever thing, well, that's actually intended. Now, the immortality thing's weird. What it was...
That's such a bad
cheap
idea!
death effect, but the problem was it had no cooldown. So as soon as your health went down, it would save you with no cooldown, so you'd be immortal. That's obviously broken, but I suppose what's weird is that the rest are intentional, and it raises a crazy thought. Imagine playing World of Warcraft on God mode with a completely unexplained 40% haste buff. I mean, just going around with Bloodlust all the time, and then having that vanish the second you hit level 70 and go into the new expansion, where you're...
But doesn't... It's gonna increase it's going to reduce the cast time of all your spells and stuff. So you're not going to get a feel for how your class actually plays if your spells don't take the time that it should normally take. Whose idea was this?
We're already going to immediately be faced by having pretty low gear. I mean, that is a weird experience. Leveling already gets a bit slower and harder as you go, so it must feel like a brick wall to those players, just having the training wheels completely disappear. And I guess with that, no wonder that people end up struggling with Delves and Mythic Plus when their first experience of the game, well, for a month involved them being immortal, and I suppose from now on, or at least now until they fix it, just involves them having a permanent 40% haste
That's
buff.
really bad.
What this highlights is just how bad, how weird World of Warcraft's new player experience is. Now, the good news is that...
Well, some of y'all are new players. Some of y'all have just started, and you've gone through this, and you've got to max level, and some of you have even joined us in the normal raids and time walking raids and stuff. How have you felt about your new player experience, people that are new? Did you experience this thing where you get to level 70 and your big buff is gone and you feel like really weak? No? Like, what has been your... How has it been for you? What if you pick a different expansion? You shouldn't have Prismatic Blessing if you go to do a different expansion, like maybe... Wrath or Burning Crusade or something, right? Exile's Reach teaches you about 10% of what a new player would need to know just to do the basic things. I've talked to several of my friends that have recently gone through Exile's Reach the past couple of months, and they all seem to have a pretty good impression of it. However, there are a couple things that everybody seems to get hung up on and is confused by. I've had several friends stop when they get to the dungeon at the end of Exile's Reach because they think that this is something that's going to require other players, and they're like, oh, well, I'll come back and do this later. Or they even try to ask my help for this dungeon, but in fact, it's an AI dungeon. You can queue for it without any help because it's AI will come in there with you, but that's not very well communicated to players. I think all my friends that did Exile's Reach were confused by this. Wait, is that why my BM Hunter is so good in Dragonflight? No, it's because you're a BM Hunter. Like, you're gonna be pretty... For questing in the open world, you're gonna be pretty, immortal as BM Hunter no matter what, I think. It's really not a good idea. When you hit 70, you're basically feeling awful. Oh my god! New players from another MMO are different. Very good point. That's an extremely good point. Yeah, if you've already played a different MMO, which is the case for a lot of us, a lot of the buns, they coming in with existing knowledge of how an MMO is expected to work, so it's less of a learning curve. Yeah, true. The immortality is still active on my priest. I just checked. Oh my god. Oh my god. I did see the day 9 new experience. I was really shocked by it, actually. We did make a video, well, we clipped my reaction to that. Even in War Within, there's nothing that tells you about dungeons at all, and nothing about the raid, and nothing about crafting. Yeah, I guess so. I'm always fascinated by this other perspective, because for me, having played World of Warcraft for the last 20 years, and I played World of Warcraft through the time that my brain was developing, which is the reason why I'm so dumb now. I can't relate. Like, I don't understand what it is like to not know World of Warcraft, because it's like I was born in it and I was molded by it. So when I hear someone tell me something like, I don't know what a dungeon is, it's like hearing someone say, I don't know what a banana is. I have never had pizza. It's like, to me, it's so crazy. Like, you, I've never seen a tree. That's how it sounds to me. My brain never even bothered developing. It's okay. It feels like they streamlined and cut some content into a shorter main story. I'm really concerned about this. I don't like this at all. I knew that you were immortal with the new player buff, but I didn't know that it would actually give you permanent bloodlust. This is horrible. What about all these people that get to level 70 and it's gonna feel like shit for them? There was a quest in Dragonflight that explained the crafting system, but the system is too complicated. I should make a video about it. Actually, for me, stuff not being well explained is fantastic because this means I can make videos about those things. Thanks, Blizzard.
In interviews, Holly Longdale, I think in an interview with me, forgotten the interview, but anyway, I'm pretty sure she said that this is something they're trying to properly work on, but obviously this short-term band-aid fix is what they had to ship with. It's absolutely not ideal. As it stands right now, though, the new player experience of WoW is just an incoherent and honestly kind of misleading and bizarre mess. It's genuinely insane how much of WoW just relies on word of mouth and player perseverance to grow. So hopefully whatever onboarding plans they're cooking up do come sooner rather than later. I cannot imagine the amount of players that WoW simply does not have because the new player experience is so weird. And if you really want to go on a trip, turn on Mentor Chat and see the sorts of problems players are having. It's
how do I turn on Mentor Chat? How do I get in that? Well, we'll figure it out after the video.
Little story, the trading post, it's kicked up quite the debate, mostly because at the start of October it was actually bugged, and also because the jellyfish is not very Halloween. You see,
did I get my jellyfish? I gotta go get it. Don't let me forget. I have collected it, but I gotta go get the jellyfish out of the box. Yeah. Okay. It's not very Halloween. Who gives a shit? You know, we have a Halloween event. There was other Halloween shit in the trading posts. It was, the Harvester outfit, Scarecrow. That's Halloween-y, kind of. That's fine. Oh my god, what a non-issue.
When I went live this week, it was weird. There was no reward for filling the bar. The reported reward, the Shadowlands jellyfish, was just on the post itself for 600 tendies. Now, this was fixed later on Wednesday, but one thing...
What? It was bugged?
...did stick. The mount was 600 tendies, but the actual Halloween-themed transmogrification set, the far more coveted thing that actually thematically fits the month of October.
Right.
Well, it's not the monthly reward, it's just 800 tenders. And I suppose the question asked then is, why is the big exciting thematic transmog thing not the monthly reward, considering it's the month of Halloween? Surely that's the thing that's the better call. So that confused people.
Why didn't they make the thematic festive thing the monthly reward? Because it's ugly. I don't want that shit. What am I gonna do with that? Do you think I'm gonna spend 800 tendies on this gross scarecrow outfit? I don't want to wear that. I don't want to wear it in Halloween. I don't want to wear it in October. I don't want to wear it at any time. I'm much happier that they made the jellyfish, which is a mount I can use, the monthly reward. Oh my god, that would have been such a bad call. I just do not understand. You got straw poking out. I can't use any part of this transmog. The boots have straw poking out of it. You have some kind of planks. You got 2x4s glued to your back. That's a miss. Thank you, October Trading Post, for helping me save tendies for next month. We don't need every month to be a banger. In fact, I'm glad if sometimes we have some months where you have some stuff that's niche that other people might want, but not me.
Right then is that last year's mount, which is this broom, is on the store for $25.
That's a lot.
Yes, it is a $25.
That's a shit ton. Okay, that's a shit ton.
Broom. That's pretty crazy,
That's-
even compared to what some other WoW mounts have ended up
Yeah.
in the store. A bit weird, and certainly complaints are rolling in that they're kind of relying on FOMO to sell this expensive, I mean, pretty damn pricey.
We'll leave the shop indefinitely on November 5th. Listen, this is shitty. Okay. No cap on Skib. But they're going to do it, and they're going to keep doing it because, unfortunately, this is an extremely effective marketing strategy. I think like this is something that Elder Scrolls Online does to an absolutely ridiculous degree, where you log in and you'll see a timer on screen and you'll see the mount countdown. It's like for the next 12 hours you can get this super secret mount that is super cool, and it's only for the next 12 hours, and then it's not going to come back for who knows when. And they do this all the time. It's constantly like this. And I fell for it a bunch of times. See, I'm part of the problem. But that's why they're going to keep doing it. I think it will only get more extreme as time goes on. Yeah. It's bad. It's really bad. It's a gacha level of FOMO. You know, in some cases, I think it might be worse than what Genshin or a gacha game that I play expects. Because with the gacha games, you can plan ahead and not spend any real money on the shit you want. If you are planning ahead, you know when the banner is coming that you want, you have a general idea. You can play the game a lot and save a bunch of your prima gems to prepare for that time. And if you do this, you don't have to spend money, really. As long as you're not trying to do this for every freaking banner. But yeah.
Inflated item, you know, right now, when of course a new wave of players for within.
Zeiss is currently running around as a scarecrow. F you, Zepla. Look, Zeiss, you can enjoy what you enjoy, and I'm gonna enjoy what I enjoy. So yeah, I don't need that, but I'm glad you're enjoying it.
We're not able to get
It's my attendees, and I'll use them when I need them.
the trading post last year, but I suppose in a way, I've always seen the trading post as that. A way to just sneak lots and lots and lots of things into World of Warcraft to later on, you know, sell them. I suppose more than anything, it can feel a bit sloppy and just as if they do not have a clear vision for what this feature is supposed to be, especially fresh off the back of months and months of very underwhelming months.
It's crazy because actually I'm in some WoW Facebook groups, and when they announced this on Facebook, so many people in the comments were like, hooray, awesome, I'm so glad I didn't get this mount last year, and I can finally get it. Thank you, Blizzard, yay, 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 yay. That was, all the comments were like that. When I tell you people enthusiastically embrace these changes, like, it's the same thing, you know, I complain about Elder Scrolls Online and their aggressive monetization, but go to Elder Scrolls Online, like, forums, check their social media posts, and when they post something new like that, people lose their minds. People are so excited for the new thing.
Rewards. That being said, next month is it's going to be expensive.
Yeah.
For a good reason, at least. That's because the class sets are coming back, but they're no longer going to be class locked. They will be armor type locked.
Yes, good. Class sets. Yes, good. Not class locked too. Cool shoulders and hats and belts. I love these belts with the thing hanging off. You know, the long thing hanging off in the middle.
So,
No, we're not back to patch 34.
if you're in a warrior and you like
Banan Jock, thanks for subbing.
the Death Knight version, well, you can pick that up and transmog it, so definitely remember to save your tendies. If you've ever wanted Thrall to lead you into battle, I've got mixed news. You can't do that, but what you can do is have him lead you to the local shop.
We saw
because
this.
Waze, just software that gives you directions and traffic reports, has partnered with Blizzard, like officially, to add Thrall as a voice. And he won't
saw
just
this.
direct you physically, he will also direct you spiritually, offering you words of wisdom and strategy as you drive. But of course, he is an orc shaman, so he could just pop Bloodlust, and I don't really know what effect that has on the road. All right, let's finish it off with Dell's.
That was actually a hilarious joke, Bellular. Good job.
Resubbed for things that hang.
Serious Silent, thank you for the 22-month resub for things that hang. Niftyality, thank you for the 2-month resub. Again, by the way. I have totally lost my train of thought. I don't remember what I was about to say. At all. No clue.
Which have actually got a bonus week. So what you'll get is bonus Delver's Journey progress, bonus Undercoins, and
We did that
brand
already.
experience. So you get all of those as well.
It's already Jover. It's time walking now. Oh my god, I clicked it too.
Well, there's 2 weekly quests.
We did
One,
it.
which is to do 3 delves at any tier. That'll unlock you a pinnacle cache, which is just one of the standard weekly boxes. And then if you finish 2 more for a total of 5, you'll get a piece of 597 champion gear. Of course, if you want to focus on progress,
went
it
hard
does
on
make
that.
sense to do as many bountiful delves as you can tolerate this week. Of course, also remember that the likes of your Brown XP are account-wide. So if you've got a new alt and you maybe want to
Bad news, though. They changed it. So you can't farm Zekfir ? For your vault anymore. That's so annoying. They want me to do 8 freaking tier 8 delves every week now. Instead of farming. Yeah, they did. Yeah. That is so many. If I'm going to spend this kind of time on delves, I might as well just push Mythic Plus. You know, I think I might just push Mythic Plus instead and get better at the game.
go, say, kill Zakfir or
Who's gonna do 8 delves a week? That's too many. I'll do 4. 4 is how many I will. Because I also have so many freaking characters.
something like that, well, it will be handy if your brand is super powerful. And it now turns out that with fresh changes, you can just go and spam Zakfir a few times and...
No, you can't! No, you can't do that!
have a completely full vault of 6
You're lying!
in about 10 to 20
Not
minutes. So if you want to
anymore.
learn all about that, check out this video next, which is our guide on the newly nerfed Zakfir and all you can get from him.
Can't have annotations on YouTube anymore. I remember when we used to be able to do that, and it was pretty handy for situations like this one, when information can change later on YouTube. It sure would be good if you let us do that. There are times when you want to update a piece of info that's in your video, but you can't. So instead, you just keep spreading the wrong information and there's nothing you can do about it. I feel you, and it sucks. That was a very fun video. I enjoyed watching it. Let me put a link in the chat. I'm a big fan of BELLULAR'S. He's a super nice person. I met him at BlizzCon, and we had such a good time. I had so much fun with everybody I met.